Good morning, boys and girls. You're welcome to another session, A03, Writing for Academic and Professional Success. Perhaps this unit, second unit of the text, we'll be able to wind up with this session. The unit, as you know, was about genres and different types of writing, namely essays, research papers and articles, proposals, case study, review of literature, dissertation, thesis. I hope you got a general idea about these different genres through the last 4 sessions we had on this particular unit, namely genres and types of academic writing. Today, in this session, I'm going to concentrate on 2 things. One, approaches to academic writing, and rhetorical modes in writing. After explaining these 2 things, I am planning to have a revision of the whole unit very briefly. First, what is this approaches to academic writing? Now, in college assignments, you may be required to pursue one of the following approaches. They are simple. Approach means the demand from your part as a scholar. Now, it can be an expository one. What is expository? Now, expository means to explain, inform, define, or describe a subject. All these are included in expository kind of approach. Expository. Focus on facts and figures rather than opinions and arguments. Logical ordering of subject matter, and then commonly used in textbooks, business, technical and scientific writings. In all these kinds of writing, we see this approach, that is expository approach of writing. I hope you understand what is meant by expository approach in writing, in academic writing. Next is what is known as descriptive. Very easy term. Descriptive writing, use of visual words and descriptions to enable visualizing figures, poetic use of language. All these are now descriptive. I think is the most popular, most common approach to academic writing, because many academic questions start with the word, the structural word, that is describe. That is descriptive writing. Next is persuasive writing. Now, while say you must have noticed during the time of elections, the political parties, they publish what is known as their agenda, their main agenda. That is what they plan to do if their party comes to power. Now, that is a kind of a persuasive kind of writing, persuasive approach to academic writing. That is trying to win your confidence by writing something to uphold the principles and the policies which you plan to adhere to. That is exactly what is known by persuasive writing, to persuade someone by academic writing. Next is analytical. Analytical means, analytical approach to writing. These are all approaches to academic writing. Now, analytical is you are trying to approach a problem. That problem, you have to analyze the pros and cons, different aspects of the problem, and then come to a conclusion by which you have given an analysis of the situation or the problem. This approach is known as analytical approach. Next one is critical and evaluative approach. To evaluate the merits or to point out the inadequacies of an existing work and provide alternatives. Example, critique of a journal article, review of literature. In all these kinds of academic writing, you can use this critical and evaluative approach to writing. It brings out, this kind of writing brings out the strengths and weaknesses of an existing research. Research contains elements of persuasion and writing. It presents more than one point of view, including the writer's view. Now, that is one approach. The last is also very familiar to you, narrative or reflective approach. Reflective is what comes out of your thinking, reflective. Narrative is what you have seen, you narrate to somebody else. Seen or heard or experienced, you narrate it to somebody else. So that is narrative and reflective. It presents a story, a personal experience, ideas through narrations, using reflection to document experience. Often, this kind of approach, narrative and reflective approach, often gives the experiences of the writer as a model for learning or realization. Again, this kind of approach, that is narrative and reflective approach, can be written, such writings can be written in first person and engages the reader by the use of first person, and it is the conclusion with a personal view. That is the speciality of this particular approach. The next and perhaps the last subsection which I would like to talk to you about is rhetorical mode in writing. Rhetorical, the word rhetorical is asked only to make a statement or to produce an effect rather than to get an answer. Rhetorical means question. Now, you must have experienced politicians while making speeches in front of a large crowd. They ask many questions. That is called rhetorical mode. Many questions. Not that they need an answer to that question, but they ask question in order to arouse the thinking or the kind of support that they expect to get from the listeners. It is asked, rhetorical questions are asked only to make a statement or to produce an effect rather than to get an answer. Now, for example, I told you the speeches made by politicians, especially during the time of elections, and the kind of writing they do, or the kind of writing in manifestos, election manifestos. They ask many questions there, but many of them do not give an answer to the question exactly, but they ask the question for the effect of it. That's called rhetorical writing, rhetorical modes of writing. Different rhetorical modes often converge in the approaches listed above. I told you about about the approaches, that is description, expository, persuasion, analysis, critical or evaluative, narrative, and reflective. These different rhetorical modes often converge in the approaches listed above. An essay can be written using any of the above approaches. I have given you the list of approaches that is on page 22 of your text. We have a list of approaches. Now it can be contain different rhetorical modes or strategies to take the essay forward. That is, an essay can be written using any of the above approaches which we discussed, and can contain different rhetorical modes that I am going to read it right now for you. A list of some most popular rhetorical modes and their main function is given in your text, which is worth reading. For things which you already know, which I have already explained to you, first one is the rhetorical mode and the key function. First one is narration. No, what is the function? Recounting events. That is, some event has happened and you are making a reproduction of the event, which is called narration. Description. Very easy to describe or portray people, things, and places. That is simply what is known as description. Description is the rhetorical mode. Illustration and exemplification. Giving examples. Illustrate by giving examples. That is, explaining with illustrations or examples is called exemplification. Illustration or exemplification. This is a rhetorical mode. Another rhetorical mode is division and classification. Rhetorical mode. Division and classification. In speech, in phonetics, as you know, English is an unphonetic language, and to overcome this, English language has developed a set of symbols known as phonemic symbols, and they are 44 in number, and phonemic symbols 44 in number are divided into two, that is 20 vowels and 24 consonants. And again these 20 vowels are again subdivided into 12 pure vowels and 8 diphthongs. You remember what we did in the last sem. So this is a kind of a classification. Division and classification to explain categories and parts. Process analysis to explain how something works and to show how something can be done. Say, for example, in an experiment, you explain. It is a mode of writing, is process analysis. How do you go about the process? Now, comparison and contrast, the words are self-explanatory. Cause and effect. What happened to the agricultural revolution? What were the causes? What were the causes of the agricultural revolution, the green revolution? And then what were the effects of it? Cause and effect analysis. Then definitions, lot of definitions. Definition to explain what you mean by something. That is also a kind of rhetorical mode, that is rhetorical mode of writing. Definition. Argumentation and persuasion, to make claims and substantiate them convincingly. That is called persuasion and argumentation, which we have already discussed in the approaches approaches to academic writing. Now, with this I come to almost the end of Unit 2, where we are going to make a very short revision of what we did in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions. Now, to begin with, we have the title. The title of the unit is genres. The genres of academic writing include essays, research papers, case study, literature review, project report, proposals, and dissertation or thesis. You are familiar with all these. The genre names are used in different disciplines loosely. I told you, in some places they call it a dissertation. In some other places, academic context, they call it a thesis. It is used interchangeably. The understanding the meaning of the instructional word, instructional words, explain, describe, analyze, all these are instructional words. Understanding the meaning of the instructional words is essential in writing the right type of essays, essay writing. Practicing five paragraph model, that is an ideal essay. Practicing 5 paragraph model essays will help you understand the structure and function of essays easily. A research paper provides detailed information on a topic through different sections like literature review, methodology, discussion, and conclusion. That is about research paper. Research papers are written strictly following certain styles of presenting sources and evidence to support the arguments or findings of the paper. I told you about two very popular styles followed in Indian universities: MLA style, Modern Language Association style, and APA style, American Psychology Association style. Apart from this, world famous universities or universities, very renowned universities in the world like Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, they have their own styles of presentation or documentation. Now, the most popular documentation style in subjects under humanities is MLA, Modern Language Association style, whereas in social sciences, research scholars usually follow APA, American Psychology Association style. Proposal. We talk about proposal. A proposal is what you present to explain objectives, purpose, methodology, and detailed plan of a project you are wishing to take up. That is a proposal. The main purpose of proposal writing practice is to demonstrate your ability to plan for a future action. Now, the word case in case study refers to an individual situation or problem. You remember the patient in the medical college ward, medical college hospital ward, which is assigned, a patient is assigned to the scholar, that is the MBBS student, in order to make a study of the symptoms, ask questions, and try to reach at a conclusion. What is the ailment of that particular patient? It's called a case study. In a classroom, a problem child, the teacher trainee is asked to make a case study of the student and come out with findings. So, case study. The main skill involved in case study are problem solving, critical thinking, and writing. Case study uses the method of analyzing sample cases, real or imaginary crisis, hypothetical situations, to demonstrate how they are handled or resolved. Then we talked about review of literature. A review of literature attempts to look at previous writings with a critical eye, often finding out the methodological and other shortcomings of a work reviewed. The words dissertation and thesis are often used interchangeably to refer to what is it actually? It is the mandatory final projects in certain academic programs like master's degree program, Doctor of Philosophy, PhD program, and postdoctoral programs, thesis and dissertation. And finally, in college assignments, you may be able to, you may also be required to follow one of the following approaches to writing, academic writing: expository, descriptive, analytical, persuasive, narrative, and critical. I explained to you all these terms. How do you have the question word there: explain, critically examine, describe, all these things. More than one type of writing may be required in one academic writing assignment. Boys and girls, I stop there. I stop this session here with wishing you all a very happy day, and also keep well, keep safe. Thank you for listening to me.